Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, salam reformasi. Yang berbahagia panelis-panelis sekalian, kepada seluruh hadirin hadirat yang hadir ke program pada malam ini, iaitu sebuah forum yang bertajuk Serampang Kajang ataupun The Kajang Move. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us tonight distinguished panelists with us, including Dato' Ambiga, who we all know was we have Keadaan Strategis and Pandan MP, sekarang Rafizi Ramli, PAS Research Director and former MP, and DAP Tony Pua, who's the Publicity Chief for DAP, and also DAP Chief or Chairman. So we have tonight a very hot topic to discuss. So I was afraid for a while that the forum, the hall would not be full, but fortunately I've been proven wrong. So this topic is not just hot last week, it is still hot this week and maybe all the way until the by-election in March. So I'm sure we're all eager to hear all the panelists. The forum will be done quite straightforwardly. I will have all the panelists to give a brief opening statement, and then I will ask each of them a question, and then we will open the forum to the floor for all of you to ask questions. Anda semua boleh bertanya sama ada di dalam bahasa Melayu ataupun if you want to ask your questions in English, please do so. So without further ado, I would like to ask the neutral party first tonight. She is none other by Dato' Ambiga to give her opening statement.
Salam sejahtera. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice not to be in the hot seat. I don't know if I want to be Rafizi at this point. But I commend them for facing the public. I think you would have read what Rafizi said. I did send in many SMSs when this move was announced. And my whole point was that they should be honest with members of the public. Now, I think it is good that they're engaging, but really, at the end of the day, the people they need to convince is not me, or I don't know whether there's anyone from Kajang, but they need to speak to the people of Kajang. They need to explain it to the people of Kajang. I think that the immediate reaction was that it was unfair to put voters in the position of having to face a by-election just so soon after the general elections. And that's why I said you have to have a really overwhelmingly good reason why this move is necessary. I won't go into it further because I think that's for the other panelists to answer and for you to ask your questions. But that was a smart move of me, wasn't it? But I want to say a few things about the elections itself. It's going to happen. It's a given. It's coming on the 23rd of March. So what I'm going to say is for the voters in Kajang. And I will say this, that of course you can put it a weighing scale. The manner in which the by-election came about, if you don't like it, if you like it, if you don't mind it, that can be a consideration. But I would also urge the voters in Kajang to consider this. You are getting a second chance to vote. would ask you to look at this as an opportunity to say how you feel about what has happened since GE13. It's not often you can vote with the benefit of hindsight. This time you can. And I want to touch upon one issue that even YB Rafizi alluded to in a recent statement. And that is the state of affairs in Selangor as regards religious and racial tensions. Now, I have always asked this question, or been asking this question, why are these things happening only in Penang and Selangor? I really do ask that question, and I think we need to be aware that this is happening, that there are groups of people, or a group of people, who are trying to cause problems. And in this Kajang election, I ask the people of Kajang to speak for us, to reject that kind of racism and religious bigotry. And I think if you like what Barisan has been doing since the general elections, by all means vote for them. If you don't like what Pakatan has been doing, by all means vote against them. But this is an opportunity. That's the point I make. I'm not telling you who to vote for. But I will also say this. I am surprised at why the elections are only being held on the 23rd of March. I don't know whether it was necessary to hold it so late in the day. So late. I'm also concerned that the elections must be free and fair. That will always be what we want. That will always be our stand. You already can see what's happening in the press. True to form, the same people who talk utter rubbish are coming out and doing the same thing again and again. They don't get it. They don't get it that we don't like dirty politics. So I'm going to, and here I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody, this is just me. I'm no more chair or per se. This is my personal view. If they use dirty politics, vote against them. Resoundingly. If there is vote buying, vote against them. Resoundingly. So I see these elections, and I will give my views later on this so-called Kajang move. I have my concerns, and I have already made that clear. But my message to the Kajang voters is, I know there may be those who may want to boycott because they're so angry that they're being called out to vote again. That's your right, of course. But I urge you to rethink that. I urge you to rethink that because you can speak with your vote. And I urge you to do just that in this by-election. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato' Ambiga, for the resounding opening statement. Next, I'd like to welcome Tony, who I think was one of the earliest to come up with a statement after the Kajang seat was vacated. So I think, over to you, Tony.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rafizi, Mr. Nik, Dato' Ambiga, and as well as my good friend, Dr. Zoe. Very good evening to all of you, all good people out there who have kindly taken the trouble to come for this forum to hear perhaps some elements of our side of the story. But before I start, perhaps you're wondering why Tony Pua normally quite reasonably dressed, conscious today in green polo t-shirt. This time, listen, I came today with a specific intent in mind. I need to project the Pakistan spirit. So this light shirt in the cabinet that has the three-party logo. White shirt, three-party logo, which I wanted to bring. But I left it in the car, brought it down to the car park, parked the car, took off my shirt, put on the new shirt, the Pakistan shirt, and found that it was a bit tight at the waist. And yet wondering what happened to the shirt. I didn't recall putting on so much weight. And I realized I took my white shirt. But jokes aside, on this Kajang move, I think one of the biggest questions that is being asked is why we are doing it. Rafizi has been explaining up and down the state, in Kajang, out of Kajang, mainstream press, online press, why the need for the Kajang move. I'll be very upfront here to tell you, and I'm sure you all know, I'm one of the biggest and most ardent supporters of Tan Sri Khaled. For all the water negotiations, water talks, and water crises, I was up there, I was defending the state's move, I was promoting the state's policies, and I was part of the team that was trying to make things happen for Selangor, make things different for Selangor. When Tan Sri Khaled was attacked for the so-called Halam scandal, you remember? Yes. 328 million thereabouts that he allegedly lost to Halam, when he in fact recovered it as that. I took that head on and went around the state, perhaps the country as well, to explain the move, to defend Tan Sri Khaled, especially against that Vice President from MCNA, former Deputy Minister. And Tan Sri did the right thing because he saved the state more than 300 million of funds that would have otherwise been stuck with a former Barisan Nasional colony. During the campaign time, 13 general elections, I went around the state, I went around the country, preaching the good values of Tan Sri Khaled. He has achieved a lot. And one of the proudest claims I had, one of the happiest claims I had to make at the campaign, the most honest one I can make, is he had an extremely honest and hard-working Menteri Besar. That Tan Sri Khaled is completely elite and corrupt. Sometimes when you see Tan Sri Khaled, he looks a bit tired, looks like nodding his head. I tell you, he's damn tired because he works damn long hours. 4 hours. He works very long hours. He is completely committed to the job. And he has achieved a lot. Not only on the issues that I raised just now on water, on Tala. We go around the country telling everyone, while the Barisan National Government only knew how to create deficits, waste money, give land to their cronies. In Selangor, we managed to increase our reserves from 400 million to 2.5 billion within 5 years. An achievement that no Barisan National state can match. And And this was because of a change of government in 2008. The question that everyone is thinking of now, Dato' Sri Anwar is going to Kajang, is he becoming an MP? If he's becoming an MP, why are we replacing Sri Khaled? There's a lot of ifs there. But perhaps I'd like to ask the audience, assume 90% or more will be residents and voters of Selangor. Are you perfectly happy with everything that's going on at the moment? No. Give a shout. What are some of the issues that What are some of the issues you face?
No, we're being victimized. The minorities are being victimized.
Minorities are victimized.
Yes.
Issues over the Alkitab.
And then you get an empty day, people are collecting money from all the cars, and then you're always fine. Everybody's getting fined.
Everyone gets fined.
If the electoral system is corrupt, why are we endorsing the electoral system by going to another elections?
Okay, that's a separate issue. But I'm asking, what are you happy with what's happening in Selangor? Everything. What are areas that you're not happy about?
Well, this program going on, so it's okay, really. But you know, there are little things.
When I go for town halls, I hear a lot of complaints from them. I don't know when. No increase. No increase is federal government.
Collection of rubbish.
I think.
Collection of rubbish. I hear that quite often. For better or worse. So there are concerns in the state. And I think there are plenty of other crises that perhaps some of us have forgotten. Issues such as the appointment of the state secretary. Remember, when the earlier state secretary retired, someone who was not the choice of Tan Sri Khaled Ibrahim was appointed. There's just one. Issues of appointment of senior civil servants. That's another. And I think one of the biggest challenges we face in Selangor is because Selangor is the richest state in Venezuela. And everything is in Selangor, barring Kuala Lumpur. Or Kuala Lumpur is part of Selangor.
Well, wait a minute. You know, you have won, okay, PRK or whatever it all want. But the only thing is that why in the government service? You still have the government servants that are there still.
You can also ask questions later. We are here until you finish your questions. Okay? But basically, there are challenges in the sense that it is not easy navigating the system. It is not easy because even the civil servants themselves are conflicted. Who is my master? The party who pays my salary, the person who actually appoints me, or the party I'm supposed to serve. And there are major conflicts in that. There are weaknesses in the system, and you can see it very clearly. Very clearly over the recent Ambiga issue. What's happening? That's what everyone is asking. And these are issues that will only get worse. We see the attack by Jais. The attack via Jais as the start of many more to come. They have already taken back the dam. They may decide that Penang may be too far to reach. They want to put their entire ammunition in Selangor, and we will be under major threat. And I think it is important to reinforce our state government to make sure that we can deal with these threats. Now, whoever becomes MP, that's a separation. But I actually believe that with Dato' Sri involved in the state government, we will be able to face these challenges better. And I'm also convinced, this is a hypothetical question that is posed to me by many reporters almost every single day. And I've been telling them I'm not answering that until the time comes. The question is, if Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim is to become the Menteri Besar, okay, and he has said if he does, Tan Sri Khalid has a major role to play in the state as well, I believe that Datuk Sri, who has been our candidate for the Prime Minister of Malaysia, the candidate endorsed by DAP, by Pakatan, as the Prime Ministerial candidate for Malaysia, I am certain that he will make, if he gets appointed, and if he wins Kajang, okay, he will make a very good Menteri Besar. Last week, I cannot, what do you call it, make light of this point. Kajang by-election is an extremely important election. Extremely important. Datuk Sri Anwar loses Kajang, Pakatan is finished. Forget 2017, general elections, okay? We are collapsed. We are done for. Forget about Cuba, forget about change, forget about throwing out Barisan Nasional Government. It is a crucial election that cannot be taken lightly. Why did Barisan Nasional put the by-elections on March 23rd? So far away, when it could have been done perhaps at the end of February. Maybe it can find a candidate lah. Maybe I can convince me to wait. But my guess is Barisan Nasional is putting every single ammunition they have over this period to attack Kajang, to convince Kajang to defeat Datuk Sri Anwar. Because they know if Datuk Sri falls in Kajang, that's the end of Datuk Sri, that's the end of Pakatan as we see it today. So I can only call upon everyone. Many of you are not voters of Kajang.
Say plan B. Just in case, if you lose, say plan B.
All of you here to help spread the message, to help reaffirm the commitment, to help Pakatan win Kajang so as to bring us or keep us in track to change happening in general election, the 14th general elections. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony, for the speech just now. For your information, tonight's forum is telecasted live on Ubah TV and also on TV Selangor. Also, I'd like to remind the audience that there will be room and opportunities for you to ask questions later. So please use those opportunities. Next, I think we are all looking forward as well. Number 2 after Rafizi. This is probably the person that everyone wants to hear from. Is Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad from PAS. We've got many interesting points. So here we have the representative from the party.
Terima kasih Tuan Moderator for your gracious introduction that makes me lebih jittery and anxious. Fellow panelists, Ambiga, Rafizi, Tony Pua, dan kawan-kawan televisions, distinguished Malaysians who are around. Saya mulakan dengan Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam reformasi. Saya mulakan dengan saya punya beberapa masalah berbicara dengan bahasa Inggeris ataupun dalam bahasa Malaysia. tetapi saya kira saudara-saudara boleh menerima kalau saya jadi bilingual dan trilingual. As I told you, saya memang I have my anxiety coming over here. I used to like, coming to forums, but tonight, malam ini I'm faced with an audience that are really looking forward to hopefully not make me a punching bag. Be gracious and be merciful to me. But the fact that you are around make me believe I'm not really prepared for this forum. That is the truth. Too many things to say. Tetapi bila saya lihat dewan ini penuh, I have my conviction. As they say, enough for evil to thrive when good people sit around and do nothing. But tonight, with your presence, a big applause for Malaysians. Pertama yang saya mau tegaskan bahawa ini untuk saudara Rafizi, to explain. Saya punya banyak kendala. I know that I faced a lot of, not just constraint, but the risiko, the risk of being finally called an apologist for pihak. For all those things that he has got to explain, he has got to explain why. Antara lainnya, rencana Kajang, this thing called the Kajang move, as you very well are aware now, that was not consulted, tidak diberitahu lebih awal. Dikatakan, saya mengambil contoh yang Pak Pengamat Ketua Menteri Perwakilan ketika dia di-interview, please give your comment on the Kajang move. He said that how could I give any comment because I tidak tahu, and I don't even know what is move, so how would I want to comment? And he keeps saying that he wasn't informed. Now, I'm going to be very honest about this. PAS pun tidak diberitahu. And that's for saudara Rafizi to explain, and I will not be an apologist here to say that, as if I'm not in denial. Saya katakan bahawa we were not informed. Right to the final stage, we were consulted, and mungkin jelasnya kerana kursi itu adalah kursi pihak, tidak ada pertikaian dari sudut itu. Semuanya kerana risikonya besar. Ya, rencana Kajang ini, this Kajang move is what it's a case of what I call high risk, high return. Tentunya, surely, perkara ini akan mengambil laluan yang sukar, rumit. It is certainly very, it's not small feat, this one is. Jadi, as to the rationale of all this, Saudara Rafizi, he had been giving all kind of, stories, and I think saya tidak mau mengambil peranan itu. Let him explain. But something for sure, kami dalam PAS merasakan ketika PKR telah mencetuskan move yang saya secara pribadi, saya boleh bercakap secara pribadi as the director of PAS Research Center here at think tank for PAS. I, for one, would surely want to endorse that this is a strategic move for the bigger. It's what we call as a forward defense, a preemptive move that is meant to mitigate the risks that have been explained by Sir Rafizi in all those interviews that you have already read, I'm quite sure. Lalu saya punya keyakinan, I have my conviction that this is a strategic move yang punya banyak kebaikan dan kepentingannya yang telah pun disebutkan dengan apa yang telah kita saksikan dalam argumen ke-12 yang lalu, bagaimana mereka menyerang kita, how they have mounted their onslaught on the state of Selangor. It may enough, bring us down, but thanks to Sri Khaled and his team, we have in fact continued to be given a big mandate and a bigger mandate by the people of Selangor. Substantively, kami dalam PAS mau melihat perkara ini and the context for Kajang ini sebagai satu yang merupakan yang akan menjadi in a way satu isyarat as a litmus test for rencana kami in our roadmap to Kajang. We will want to believe that winning Kajang is significant. Kajang is just not another by-election. And especially with Dr. Sri being candidate, becoming the candidate, the contest is certainly one that is of significance. Lalu kami PAS akan memberikan segala sokongan, and we have our president, Dr. Sri Haji Abdul Hadi Awang, have made it very clear that we will give all our support to make sure that Dr. Sri menang. I know what you're waiting for. To make me, to want me to be. Seorang saudara sudah muncul, saya tahu. What you'll be coming to shoot at me on the issue of, Menteri Besar dan sebagainya. But let me say this. There's a saying in English. If it ain't broke, this matter. Kalau bahasa Inggrisnya should be, if it ain't broken,
Don't fix it.
don't fix it. Betul? Ya benar. Kalau ia tidak betul, tak perlu baik. I think Wakil Tony has explained it quite well over the success and the performance of Tan Sri Khalid Ibrahim. However, issues about beyond the by-election, we have made it very clear, PAS has made it very clear, I am going to be compliant to PAS as to its position. But I personally believe as well that they be subjected to the dynamics post-election. And this is the beautiful thing of democracy. Walaupun kami punya pendirian, tetapi kami yakin dalam consensus building, the way we arrive to decision dalam Pakatan Rakyat, we will always fall back on consensus building. Jadi apapun pandangan PAS, yang pentingnya juga adalah kesepakatan dan muafakat dalam ketiga-tiga parti dalam Pakatan Rakyat. Yang lebih penting adalah supaya semua kita akan bekerjasama untuk memenangkan calon Pakatan Rakyat di Kajang nanti. Dan juga saya perlu sebutkan bahawa kalau dalam konteks reminded by time, but apapun yang saya belum nyatakan akan saya bawa dalam perbincangan dalam pusingan yang in the next round. But let me just conclude by saying that the opportunity for the rakyat, particularly the voters of Kajang, to ensure that we are on the trajectory of reform and change is an opportunity that they shouldn't miss. And with that, I thank you.
Dr. Zul dan berani menghadap orang ramai pada malam ini. Saya yakin ada soalan-soalan yang mencabar seperti ini juga. Seterusnya I think the man we've been waiting for, as Rafizi Tony has said, he's been going up and down to explain the Kajang move, but he's right here in front of us tonight, and you will have all the opportunity to grill him. But before that, please listen to what he has to say. With that, Mr. Rafizi Ramli.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good evening, selamat malam. I don't usually bring any paper to any forum if you have observed all my forum before, but I do jot down notes tonight just in case I say the wrong thing. So this is what it feels to be on the firing squad. People say that 1 week in politics is a very long time. People say, but I experienced it. I wish the last 1 week was a lot quicker than what it was. In fact, last week there was one lady who came to me and gave me a shampoo because she thought that I was losing hair because of all this. No, it's true, it happened. Somebody came to me and bring shampoo and said that you look so stressful with your hair is falling out. And in fact, one of the live conversations I had with my wife every night is that maybe this is what it feels to be Najib. Every day. Anyway, look aside. I am here to be grilled, though I'm a bit fat, so be careful with your grilling. Okay, jokes aside, I think I understand the shock and disillusionment, I think if I may say, of the last 1 week. If any, the harshest criticism against our political move was from our own supporters or PR-friendly citizens, which is a good thing, because that means that we are moving away from politics based on blind support to politics where our politicians, even a future or a candidate who is agreed and nominated as a future Prime Minister, even put to the test and be accountable to a decision that we make, which is a good thing. And if you think that we are perturbed by that, we are at least perturbed or worried about that, because that's what politics and public accountability is all about. The only thing that I ask is for us to be given a chance to at least escape. We may be ridiculed or faulted for what the public thinks as simplistic in our approach, in our political move. But I hope you do not fault us for our genuine concern with what is happening in Selangor and in the country. If there is any gap between how our assessments arrive at a different conclusion with how the public sees it, the gap is in terms of how serious they view the developments in Selangor for the last 8-9 months compared to perhaps what the public thinks. If you go back, rewind the last from 505, I dare say that the country gets worse after 505. Saya mungkin muda, saya tidaklah rambut putih macam Tony Pua, or like Dato' Ambiga, tetapi sepanjang 37 tahun saya hidup, for the last 37 years, I have not encountered, not once except in 1997 in Kampung Rawa, where a group of people of different faith demonstrated in front of a place of worship of another faith. Never happened in Indonesia. Mungkin oleh kerana kita sudah biasa dengan permainan perkauman UMNO Barisan Nasional sejak 5-6 tahun yang lepas. Ever since 2008 we get used to it, but not at all. Just because we are used to it, not at all, it makes it less dangerous. So it's a political
political impasse and developments of the last 7 or 8 months, I caution, and I have to admit, yes, I am the strongest proponent of it. I caution the people in my party, friends, and I'm sure that to Ambiga and a lot of other people understand and appreciate that the dynamics in UMNO is changing. The demography of the country is changing. In 10-15 years time, most probably Melayu Bhumiputra will reach 70% of the population. In the next election, general election, for the first time, the largest voters, the single largest voters, is the first time voters from Malay. Whether you like it or not, these are facts. In UMNO, after the failure of One Malaysia and the dismal performance of UMNO Barisan Nasional in the last general election, the doctrine that a single race rule is possible in Malaysia is taking. And this is going back to the kind of politics that Tun Mahathir has been playing before I was born. That negara ini boleh ditadbir hanya oleh satu bangsa, iaitu Melayu. You may not be surprised because that's what you've been hearing from some buffoons in UMNO for the last 1 year. But it is significant because throughout UMNO 60 years history, never once UMNO believes that it can govern this country on its own. Walau macam mana teruk pun MCA in the 70s, UMNO akan pastikan ada perwakilan daripada MCA, daripada MIC, supaya kerajaan itu paling kurang adalah kerajaan berbilang Malaysia. I have reasons to believe, and I'm convinced the dynamics in UMNO, if Najib is ousted and the ultras, Tun Mahathir takes over, they will continue to propagate a one race rule doctrine. And the only way why they want to propagate this is because they believe race, religion, controversies is our Achilles heel, is a loose for Pakatan Raya. On one hand, like what has happened in Selangor with the seizure of Bible, with all the controversies, on one hand, we are seen to be weak with the non-belief because we don't seem to be able to do anything. On the other hand, we are also seen weak with the Malays and the Muslims because we do not play to the tune of race and religion and sectarian sentiment that UMNO Barisan Nasional plays. Which means that if the status quo remains from 505 for the next 1 year, for the next 2 years, we are basically a sitting duck. Today, they can raid a church. Tomorrow they will raid a temple. The next day, the permutation, as UMNO would like to say, is endless possibilities of what they can play with race and religion issue in Selangor. And worse still, Selangor is a mirror of what Malaysia is as far as demography is concerned. You know, we have rich multicultural and multi-ethnic settings. And therefore the complications in terms of multi-racial relations is a lot more complex in Selangor, say, than in Terengganu. With the latest development and political racial play that UMNO has adopted in Selangor, with a threat to continue demonstrating and rallying against Christians on weekly basis from district to district, it wouldn't be long before one incident is turned into a flashpoint. I did not live through 1969, but no one, whether you are old or you are young or whatever your background, nobody should underestimate the danger of race politics anywhere, let alone in Malaysia. It is because of this impasse and developments, when you know that in Barisan Nasional, the feeling is that there is no need for the non-Malays anymore in this country. It is because we know that no matter how much Dato' Sri Anwar or Saudara Lim Kit Siang or Pakatan Rakyat make an appeal for us to sit down over these issues, over race, religion issue, over economic issue, crime, education, we have repeated this for the last 7 months to no avail. Nadi was busy jet setting, So we didn't get a single positive reply that to them these are serious concerns that we need to put aside any consideration for political mileage to resolve this immediately. That's why we feel, given the seriousness of the developments of the last few months, we need to change the status quo. And we don't do this in isolation. We do this out of consultation with leaders of the civil societies. We sit down with people. That's why sometimes I feel quite cornered, because on one hand people come to us or people criticize us, especially Dato' Sri Anwar, to show leadership. And this is what we think is a move that will change the status quo in order to upset whatever their planning is. Once we commit to this very difficult move, and then we are criticized for supposedly whatever you criticize us, which is okay, because as I say, our conscience is clear. What are the primary objectives when we discuss this? Number one, we need to deflate the tension and atmosphere. If you allow it to continue, if you allow more racial and religious demonstrations to continue, if this whole controversies about race and religion and we give the whole space to UMNO to dictate the public discourse unabated, we fear that it will go out of hands. So number one, we need to deflate it. How do you deflate it? You either argue with them and convince, but given the media and given the kind of keputusan that you have, it has not been effective. We've been arguing with UMNO Barisan Nasional on race religion issue for the last 6 years. The position of Pakatan Rakyat dan Kalimah Allah is very clear. It has not changed since October 2010. But it was given the impression as if things are changing. I'm not even 30% into my... Alright? So, if you want to change the status quo, there are a few options. And one of it is to completely throw a spanner into the setting. And that's what we think we could do by seizing the political move and political agenda away from them. Don't let them dictate. Let us dictate. And I'm sorry that, the decision that we come to is to gamble with our number one leader, is to put him on the ground, not just to upset the whole political setting, but because we feel that with him on the ground, which I will explain a bit later, it will give him the political legitimacy to confront BN's UMNO's political and racial attack head on. Okay. We have seen what happened in Kedah. Dr. Zul mentioned about if something is not broken, don't fix it. If you look at your car, take a car, ambil kereta contohnya. Kereta itu bukannya hari ini nak rosak, barang dalam tu hari itu juga rosak. It takes some time of a breakdown of certain machinations of the cogs and wheel for it to stop functioning until such a day when it fails. Kita dah belajar daripada pengalaman di Kedah. There are certain criticisms, there are certain clashes and differences of opinions within the state government, which with the benefit of hindsight, if it had been handled differently before that, we could have seen a different results in Kedah. And you can fault us for being an alarmist, but this is a jewel in the crown. This is a state that allows Pakatan to build the credentials to bid for Putrajaya. We should never let our eyes off Selangor, and if we think that some differences or some weaknesses could be improved further in order to prevent a failure that 3 or 4 years down the line will hand over the state to the end, we should. And I'm not apologetic about that. Because when it happens 3, 4 years down the line, it's too late. We can't intervene 3, 4 years down the line. We must intervene now. Yes, that's why. The problem is, my friends, which I understand, is it is made complicated by the internal differences in PKR, which I have apologized over and over again. While internal differences is good to a certain extent, when it becomes a public spect, it does not bode well for the confidence of the public, which we have to accept, But then again, to accuse that this whole scheme was purely motivated by the difference of opinion or the so-called power play between Saudara Azmi and Tan Sri Khalid is not true. The difference of opinion has been there since day one. I mean, some people tell me, please don't talk about that, but who are we kidding? We know it anyway. There has always been a difference of opinion between Tan Sri Khalid and Saudara Azmi. Why not 4 years ago? Why not 3 years ago? Why not before me? It's because the dynamics of politics during those years were different. During 2009, 2010, there was the reason was not compelling enough to do it. I mean, if we were to do this purely because of internal differences, we might as well wait for the party congress in April. We'll settle it in party congress in April. Let them fight each other. I have no problem with that. But this is not just about the public or the internal difference between Saudara Azmin and Tan Sri Khalid. There have been a convergence of developments and political dynamics in the last few months. The sabotage, the attacks, the dynamics and developments in UMNO, where they are slowly abandoning a multiracial approach in government. All these necessitate an immediate move, and in fact, to be frank, when we discussed it, initially we thought it should be done after the party election, because to avoid people from accusing us of using this political move in order to settle our internal party difference. And the question to us is that, can you wait another 4 months? What if these 30 roadshows to explain how Christians are challenging Muslims continue on weekly basis? What if something went wrong in February while we wait for us to settle our party election? Don't you think that it's more irresponsible on our part to put our interest and our image before the livelihood and interest of the public? That's why we say, that's why finally we decided, because of the convergence of dynamics and reasons, we have no choice but to literally face the firing squad. We understand public will be extremely angry. That's why they thought that maybe putting me there with my pitiful face maybe will lessen the anger. It has not worked, apparently. You see, of course, because of the anger and confusions, things have not been easy. And I've been lampooned like hell for the last one week. Certain things I also have to set the record straight, for example, Dato'. I've been quoted, for example, as saying that Anwar has to be brought to Selangor to avoid an emergency. I did not say that. What I was questioned by a reporter over and over again, in what context is that, given the backdrop of the political and racial politics played by UMNO, in what